Good day, everyone. This is Pineleaf Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and on the tabletop. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculata.
Have you tried turning it on and off again? That's all I'm going to say.
Have you tried turning it on and off again? Well, that depends. Does anybody actually hear us?
I'm hoping they do. I'm hoping the tech problems are worked out. So hopefully the people that are in the chat room right now can actually hear our voices and we're not talking to ourselves.
Okay. Hopefully they're madly typing, yeah, we hear you, we hear you, we hear you.
I hope so.
Well,
that would be good.
Now, since we're talking about support items, let's talk about Turbine support, which is going to be closed on Thursday and Friday of this week, November 24th and 25th, to celebrate U.S. Thanksgiving.
Otherwise known as support will be in a turkey coma and can't answer your questions until Monday.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to be happening. Yep. So therefore, let's head into the DDO Chronicle, issue number 215, where it looks like we've got an angelic figure here.
We do. That is from one of the newer quests. For some reason, to curse the sky. That quest line. It's in one of those.
Oh, it's not from one of the Trials of the Archons?
Maybe Trials of the Archons. I forgot about that one. Might be that too. It's been so long since I ran this quest. I'll have to run those and figure out where exactly that is coming from. In the community spotlight of our Chronicle this week, Voodoo Spice has created a new tutorial video for those that are wanting to jump on the Kenneth crafting chain. So if you're curious about the new Kenneth crafting, check out Voodoo's wonderful video. And Emmanuel, not to be outdone, has also created a new tutorial video for Kenneth crafting, but this one is special because it is in Espanol. It is in Spanish. Did I impress you with my Espanol there, finally? That's all I know.
Espanol.
You know, I know that in burrito and stuff like that. But anyway, and I probably just offended half the audience, so we'll just move on.
Yeah. Well, there may be that little difficulty.
I joke. In the fan site news section of the Chronicle this week, Damsels and DDO ran through Night Rebels. Click over and check out the zany hijinks that ensued with the damsels. Order of Symplectica, I never can say that name for some reason, has some thoughts on the Shadowbow Ninja. Click over and check out some advice on making a monk. And even note schemes with the enemy, and she writes about it. Click over and check out that on her blog. The only other thing in our Chronicle this week, of course, is our Chronicle question. This week, it's a pretty simple question. What do the vendors do with the gems you sell them?
All I can imagine is they sell them to the Wizards Guild to help make magical items.
Okay. My answer was they have the world's biggest poker game.
World's biggest poker game.
Free money.
And it looks like an airship that has lots of circles around it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they actually got this screenshot. This one comes from Lead Hero 5. He grabbed a nice screenshot of an airship in the 295th DDO screenshot of the week. Very cool shot of an airship. Not exactly sure how he did that. He apparently did some kind of weird camera angle or something, but cool screenshot nonetheless. And that's it for our Chronicle.
Very well, then. Then let's head into our store sales. And is there anything exciting for sale this week?
There is some pretty good stuff, actually. 20% off stat tomes, skill and UMD tomes, tomes of learning, and the ever-popular Harper Agent Enhancement Tree, all at 20% off in the DDO store. Your free sample of the week through the 24th is the Elixir of Angel's Tears. You will get one elixir with the coupon code STATUSFIX, STATUSFIX. And once again, that is one per account, so choose your server wisely.
Then let's see what's coming in from the dungeon. And Force Grey, the lost episode, is being streamed live on December 5th. How can it be a lost episode if it hasn't been recorded yet?
That is a very good question, finally. Yeah, I'm not sure why they chose to call it the lost episode. What this basically is if you watched Force Grey and you enjoyed Force Grey, you know how it ended was kind of meh. The ending wasn't very good. It was like a big, huge cliffhanger. Well, they are going to rectify this because there will be a live session of Force Grey. It's coming up December 5th. That is going to take place, of course, over on Wizard's Twitch page, so you can watch it live. And then they did say that after it is done, the live stream is over, it will be uploaded to YouTube and Facebook, and there'll be links on Twitter and all that. So if you can't watch it live on December the 5th, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, you will be able to catch it on demand on like YouTube and stuff like that.
Isn't that about the time we'd be recording our episode for that day?
That is exactly the time we will be recording our episode. So alas, I will not be watching Force Grey, the lost episodes live, unfortunately. Wah, wah. But yeah, I will definitely check it on the replay. But yeah, this is going to tie up all those loose knots that they kind of left open. They did say everybody will be returning, and there will be some surprise guest as well, too.
Ooh, a surprise guest.
So we'll see what happens December 5th, Force Grey, the lost episode, recorded live.
Then let's see what WizKids is about, because they have announced D&D Icons of the Realms starter set. Well, I guess that's no huge shock.
It is not. WizKids just pump out the little pre-painted miniatures for D&D, and this, of course, is, as you said, they're calling the Icons of the Realms. And why they're doing this is the most iconic character classes and races from Dungeons & Dragons. So if you're looking to get your little minis to start your game, this would be a good way to do that.
This looks like, obviously, from the realms, because it says a gold dwarf cleric. It's not just a dwarf cleric, it's a gold dwarf cleric.
That's right.
Just not an elf wizard, it's a sun elf wizard.
Definitely from the realms. Also included is a Northland Spider, a Whitefoot Halfling Rogue, and the Human Ranger. And then you also get one new hero for your game, a Wood Elf Druid. All these are in one blister pack. It will be in your friendly local game store. Also online, such as that, Amazon and everything, if you don't have a FLGS local to you, for the MSRP of $19.99, which is not bad for 5 pre-painted minis.
All right. Then let's head to the Kobold Press Bestiary Fantasy Miniatures Kickstarter. That is a mouthful.
That is. I was impressed you did that without taking a breath, so good job, Piney. You might remember a couple weeks ago we talked about the Kobold Press released the Tome of Beast for 5e, which they added a ton of new monsters for your 5e game. Well, now, Effin' Cool Minis, I'm not cursing, that is actually the name of the company, just wanted to throw that out there. I will not beep that because that is their name. They have obtained a license to produce miniatures based on Kobold Press, the books they're coming out with. And first up, they chose to do the Bestiary. They will have 6 different minis that you can choose from in the Kickstarter. That is the core set. That will be $40. For $80, you can choose 6 other minis, for a total of 12, of course. And then for $120, it's going to get you all 20 of the core miniatures. And then you can also add on additional miniatures as the stretch goals are falling, which they are at a rapid pace because they funded within 24 hours.
Right. So we'll have
more minis.
More minis. Many more minis.
Wow, that was pretty impressive.
Then let's see what else is coming out of the woodwork. How about instead of something new, how about something old and classic? Like, how about bringing up those old classic books that I bought way back? An insane number of years ago. Yeah, an insane number of years ago, being brought back for print and on demand.
Yeah, that's kind of happened with little fanfare. It just kind of slowly happened, and everybody was like, what's going on? But yeah, the folks over at Drive Through RPG, RPG Now, DM's Guild, which the company that runs that is actually One Bookshelf. If you did not know, it's like a one company that runs the different sites. They are slowly but surely releasing some of these classic books that you can do a print on demand. So you can buy a PDF, and you can also get a print version of it if you want. This is being rolled out very, very slowly. Right now, there's not a lot of titles, and there's some really weird titles that they chose to start out with.
Yeah, I did think that was a rather unusual set of titles to start with.
Yeah, right now it's AC1, which is the Shady Dragon Inn, L1, The Secret of Bone Hill, X2, Castle Amber, the Hollow World campaign setting. You can also get the SJS1, Goblin's Return, Uncaged, Faces of Sigil, WG5, Mordecai's Fantastic Adventures, the Dragonomicon, the Dragonlance Adventures, Words Are Hard Tonight, and I-10, Ravenloft 2, The House on Griffin Hill. So those are the choices right now, and some of those have been out of print for a while, and some of those go for big money if you actually want to buy them, the printed version. I know the Ravenloft, if it's sealed on eBay, that constantly goes for $60 or $70. But now you do
Not that you haven't been checking all this time.
Yeah, well, actually, I already have it. But yeah, I do kind of like keep an eye on that. But anyway, it's Ravenloft. Of course I have it. The things to keep in mind, though, is these print on demand will look a little different than the original counterparts because they're doing the print on demand. So they might have less graphics. They might have graphics in a different place. If you buy the PDFs, they will look how the PDFs are formatted. That's just something to keep in mind. I know some people were a little put off by that. It's like, well, it's not like the original. Why would I buy this and have it printed? It's because some people like to have the actual hard copy. Yeah.
Okay, and it sounds like some people then are purists. It not only has to play the same, it has to look exactly the same.
Exactly, yeah. And the prices on these aren't too bad, actually. The Castle Amber is $9.99, and Dragonlance is $17.99. So that's not, too horrible for print on-demand versions. And from what I have heard, they look like they're pretty high quality glossy prints, and they're bound together nicely. So it's just something to consider if you would actually like some hard copies of some of these. And One Bookshelf did say they are slowly going to be adding more titles every week. So that's something to keep an eye on, and we, of course, will report that when some new titles go up. We'll be sure to let you know the newest titles that are out.
Now, concerning Dragonlance Adventures, is this a supplement that was done to Dragonlance, or are we talking about the original Dragonlance series?
The original Dragonlance for 1E.
Okay, because that was 12 modules.
Yeah, they're combining them all into like one mega book. Is how they're doing.
Yeah, I think they did that at one point, but back when I got it when they all first came out, so therefore it was like individual modules for each. So let's then see what's on the tabletop, and we'll begin with the X-Men, but not just regular X-Men. These are Munchkinized X-Men.
I seem to recall we had a conversation that said, slap Munchkin on it, on anything, and call it good. Well, here you go. That's right, USAopoly and Steve Jackson Games continuing their partnership with the exciting announcement for Munchkin, the X-Men edition, coming March of 2017. Players will act as students at the famous Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. You can team up with other famous X-Men heroes like Wolverine and Professor X to confront the villains from the Juggernaut to Magneto. And just like any Munchkin game, your goal is to get to level 10 And they say you actually graduate from the academy then. Usually just, you win. But, of course, we have to tie the X-Men on this. There will be 4 roll cards, 128 door and treasure cards, 4 level trackers, and a custom die. 3 to 4 players, ages 10 and up. $19.95 is the MSRP on this. Look for it March 2017.
Whee! All right, then let's head into Marvel Dice Masters, where the next set that's now available is Deadpool. Yeah, I could hear your excitement.
Well, I like Deadpool. I will be the first to admit I have never played a Dice Masters game. I really think I should. One of my friends and his kids, well, actually the ones that I play D&D with every week, they love Dice Masters. And I know he loves Deadpool, so I'm sure he's going to be all over this if he hasn't yet. He hasn't told me if he's ordered this yet, but I'm sure he has. And Dice Masters is kind of like Munchkin, where slap the Dice Masters and X here and call it good. That seems to be the case, but people are loving it. I hear it's a good game. I actually need to sit down and play it.
Okay. I'll have to tell you that the only Dice Master sets I currently have are the 2 Faerun sets.
I almost bought them, but then for some reason I didn't buy them. I don't know why I didn't buy them, but they have all sorts of dice. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles just came out not too long ago as well, too.
Yeah, I remember. I think I saw Vassal's review on that. I don't know why I watched it, because
why would you watch that? But yes, so if you're into Deadpool, you're into Dice Masters, your 2 loves are now combined from WizKids.
Right. So then let's go from Deadpool to the Terminator. That's right. The Terminator official board game is coming from Space Goat. Space Goat? This is a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference?
That's Space Ghost Productions. Oh, Space Goat. That's right. Terminator. It's the official Terminator board game. And you have never seen Terminator, have you?
I have not seen Terminator.
That doesn't shock me. Nobody in our audience is shocked by this revelation. You have not seen Terminator. So this game would make no sense to you whatsoever if you would play it then.
Well, I will assume that the object of the game is to terminate someone, and then you replay it by having someone trying to kill the person who was doing the original termination.
Close. Close. The goal of the game is, of course, one player is going to take control of all the forces of the machines, hunter-killing flying machines, the Terminators, endo-exskeletons, of course, and some new robots based on classic 80s Terminator movie. The rest of the players are going to take on the role of the human resistance, and they are going to struggle against the impossible odds of beating the machines who have uprose. And of course, the biggest thing about this, though, is it being an official game, they actually got one of the screenwriters of the original 1994 film. They brought him on as a story consultant. So that is kind of cool. And he said about this, and this is William Wisher, he said, "I'm very excited to be consulting with the creative team at Space Goat to bring the Terminator board game to life. I've missed my old friends, Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese, and of course the TA8 or T600. Words are hard. It will be fun to spend some time with them again." So look for this on Kickstarter, March of 2017. Spoiler alert, Pine Leaf will not be backing this. Yes. Just throwing that out there.
All right. And I thought that I would also give a little bit of a summary on, because we talk about all these things that are coming soon to Kickstarter and then but we usually don't talk about them afterwards. So I thought I'd give a little, at least of the ones that I've been following. I don't know if you have any that you've been following. But for example, Wordsy, which you told me about that one when it was coming up.
Yes, we actually did a pre-review of it, actually. We got the just a couple episodes ago. I will add that to the show notes.
Right. Well, it is now, with 9 days left, $7 from funding.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so therefore, it may fund before we're finished recording this episode. So that was getting really close on the matter. Then next, there is Tiny Epic Quest. I think we've discussed that one before.
We have.
And that is And that is just short of 500,000 with 5 days to go.
Good grief.
Yep. Now, Open Legend, open source RPG.
It's been a while since we talked about that, but we did talk about that one.
Right, and that and Amira's Dawn, which is the world that's coming with it, because the world is being done by Mercer and Greenwood. And this funded at $110,000 was the final value on there, so they hit quite a number of stretch goals there, and they just finished that one. And then one that I discussed a couple weeks back, which we didn't have an article for, and that was Cobras. And that one finished out at 12,500. Their goal was 8,000, and they hit 2 of their stretch goals.
Wow. It's I think I've said this before, but it amazes me at how much money some of these Kickstarters make. It's insane what. And have you noticed that usually the tabletop board games tend to make more than other Kickstarters for some reason?
Oh, yes, definitely more than a fantasy adult coloring book by.
Oh, ouch, Pine Leaf. That's hard.
Because they have 3 days to go, and they are not quite yet halfway to their goal.
And that, of course, is from our friends at Easy Roller Dice.
And as a new one that I just noticed is Legends Untold. I looked at this. This seems to be a living card game. So I said, this all sounds interesting. I said, oh, wait a minute. This is a living card game. That means once you get into it, this reminds me a little bit of a smaller scale version of Pathfinder card game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they tend to add a lot of flexibility in what you could do with the adventures and stuff like that, which I think there wasn't quite as much flexibility in that in the Pathfinder one. But it does look like, based on everything they say here, a living card game, which means that I'm sure there are going to be a lot of other either Kickstarters afterwards, or there's going to be other products afterwards. And if you want the whole thing, that's going to take years and lots of money.
LCGs are the new collectible card games.
Yes, that is apparently so. Because at least with LCGs, you don't have to worry about convincing people to that. Oh, of course you want to buy 7,000 of these so that you can get this one rare card. You don't have to worry about that one.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing they have going for them. I will give you that.
Right. All right. So therefore, let's head into our week in gaming. And what have you been up to?
Well, I actually did a lot this week for once. The past couple of weeks I haven't really done much. I've been kind of busy outside of gaming, but I actually found some gaming time this week. Of course, I did my weekly daily runs of Devil's Gambit and Grim and Barrett on my Shader Kai, and he did not get a quiver.
Of course. What else is new?
Exactly.
I have a feeling that if you ever get that quiver, we are going to have to bring in the Hallelujah music again.
Yes, I think we will.
Yes.
And speaking of getting that quiver, my rogue, who is the level 14 rogue that I'm running with my friend who was playing a wizard, we decided, he listens to the show, and he's like, I hear you talking about this Devil's Gambit quest, and I want to see what this quest is. So we decided to run that whole Devil's Gambit quest line, which, of course, is Tavern Brawl, Grim and Barrett, Subversion, and Multitude of Menace. So the first one we ran is Grim and Barrett. Went in, ran it, didn't have any problems, because, of course, I can run that quest pretty much with my eyes closed at this point.
Yeah.
Get to the end boss, kill the end boss, open up the chest. The quiver is sitting in the chest. And I actually pulled it. It was actually for me.
Oh, it was for you too? Wow.
Yes. He actually didn't have to pass it to me. It was for me. I pulled the quiver on my rogue.
Ooh.
So yes, cue the Hallelujah chorus, which I will add in post. I got to see, but now I'm sad because I don't know what I'm going to have my Shader Kai do now. because that was my official try to get the Quiver character.
Oh, you mean he was trying to get it for your other character?
Yes.
Ah.
So now I got to figure out what I'm going to have my Shade Archive do. But I think I know what I might do. Because when we were running the Multitude of Menace, I remembered, oh, hey, there is the two daggers that drop out of here, which is Slice and Dice.
Right.
And I thought, now my rogue needs those. So now I'm going to have to run that over and over ad nauseum until I get Slice and Dice for that rogue. So there you go. Problem solved. The Shader Kai is now running Multitude of Menace.
All right. And no Slice and Dice yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
We'll see. It'll probably take me forever and a day, but that's okay. It gives my little Shade Archive something to do. Then the level 11 Ranger that I have, which is in the static group with Mythri, Sabajade, Rentapone, and we now have a new member, and that is Cad, which is actually Mythri's husband. He decided to join us, so we reran Temple of Elemental Evil Part 1 to get him flagged for Part 2, which we did that on Elite. Didn't have any problems with that. And then the next time we played, Saba wasn't feeling well, so she was absent. So we decided we would do something else and not do Temple Part 2. We were going to wait for her. So we went into House K and we ran the Vault of Night story arc, which is Thrask Arena, The Prisoner, Gateway to Kyber, Jungle of Kyber, and Haywire Foundry. Ran all those on Elite, and we were doing it last week when they had the experience bonus going on. And holy crap, did we get a lot of experience for that. So much, I actually hit level 12.
Whee!
So that was that. So hopefully next week we're going to jump in and do Temple of Elemental Evil Part 2. And get that out of the way. Then the only other thing in-game I did was with you. We'll let you talk about that, as you always do. And I did do a little bit of 5e prep work for Curse of Strahd, because this coming Friday, as you listen to this, it'll be in the United States. Here, it's called Black Friday. It's the day after Thanksgiving. There's usually a lot of sales and stuff, so it's called Black Friday. Anyway, dumb name, but...
Yeah, and I remember a couple of years ago when I was watching a English football match, they were saying this was on, I think it was on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it says, yeah, everybody there yesterday was shopping for Black Friday. Thank you, United States.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. They don't have Thanksgiving, or if they do, it's at a completely different day. But they do have Black Friday because of us.
You're welcome, world. You're welcome. So, yes, anyways, on Black Friday, we always get together and we game. It's an annual tradition we do. So we're going to run a little bit of Curse of Strahd before we jump into our tabletop games we're going to play. So I just did a little bit of DM prep for that. Got some minis ready. Got some other things ready to hopefully try to kill them, because that's the party I'm trying to kill.
Okay.
So next week, we'll hear the saga of Black Friday, and we'll see what happens. So how about you, Pine Leaf? What were you up to this week?
All right, we'll begin with my Gnome Warlock, where we went down adventuring at level 13, where we went to the 12/Lord March Plaza, and we started out with the Eyes of Stone, which real fun, going after a Medusa and avoiding her gaze. And I did not notice what the switch, because I knew about the mirror switch from the last time we did it a long time ago from our previous characters, but I couldn't find the switch I had to pull in order to turn on the mirror until after we killed.
Yeah, we actually did that the hard way.
Yeah.
But that was all right. It actually wasn't too bad. We actually didn't have that major of a problem with her.
Right. I think I did have one time where I was temporarily immobilized, but okay. Then we did Assault on Summerfield, which is always a real thrill. Mm-hmm. And finally, we finished up with Blockade Buster, because what's more fun than blowing up 3 ships? Boom. And of course, we had a bit of a turnabout, because last time we did it, I was the artificer, so therefore I was blowing up the ships. So this time, it was your turn to do it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. You're right.
Then in ESO, for my regular group that I have there, we all decided to get together and head out to the Orcish homeland. They were celebrating the first anniversary of the opening of the Orcish homeland, so therefore we thought we'll celebrate that by heading out there and running that content. And what was interesting about that particular area is that when they first released it, they released it so that it would automatically scale. That was the first auto-scaling content in ESO. Now, about a month ago, they had updated the game so that every region now acts that way. But the model for the whole thing was done at the Orcish homeland.
Didn't they, I just read, I think the other day, didn't they change ESO totally where it's full auto scaling everywhere now? So you
that's what I was talking.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's full auto scaling, auto everywhere, and you're allowed to go to any region you want. There aren't any more region restrictions based on what I hear.
Yeah, I thought it's one Tamriel or something they're calling it.
Right, yeah, they're calling it one Tamriel. Now the Orcish homeland though is a DLC, so obviously DLCs you still would have to buy the DLC.
Okay.
But any of the non-DLC or the original content you go to, so you could go through all three homelands, which used to be restricted based on your whichever faction you started out with. Now let's head into some YouTube stuff I was doing. Is I was watching several episodes related to the open source RPG. To the Open Legend open source RPG. So I was getting to see what that was right. So I saw the first episode of the Amura's Dawn series that they just started this week. And this was one of the stretch goals, was that they hit a certain amount, they would do a mini-series based on that world. Because they had done a one-shot way back when the campaign started. So this is a longer one that they were doing. So they had the first episode, and they'll be skipping next week due to U.S. Thanksgiving, or I guess this week they'll be skipping. But starting next week and the next few weeks after that, they'll have additional episodes to finish it off. And so I was getting an idea of how the game operates. And I also saw a few other videos to Open Legend too. So I'm starting to get to know the system, and I'm reading up on the version that's on the web right now and going to see if I could create a character or two. Now in Minecraft, I cleared out an abandoned mine shaft. Well, mostly. I think there are still one or two straggler locations there. And I built a subway terminal. And then in tabletop games, I went back to Descent Road to Legend, and I did a side quest to the campaign I'm in, and I got squashed like a bug.
Which doesn't shock me in Descent. That happens quite a bit.
Yeah, it has quite a bit. This is one where there was... It doesn't... When you're in a room, in the first room of the dungeon, and you get immobilized just before the ceiling caves in.
Oh, ouch.
It's like, okay, it would have been nice and fine if I weren't immobilized, but if you're immobilized, and I don't think that character didn't have any teleport skills, so oops, that was a problem. Then I played my first game of Tiny Epic Kingdoms, and because it's the first time I was playing it, trying to figure out how to play and all that stuff, and not knowing how the solo opponent operates, I pretty much got squished by that too. And then I had my first two playings actually, of the Goonies Adventure card game, which is something I received from a Kickstarter reward. And that game, well, is certainly based on the Goonies. And I don't know, have you ever played that game?
Yes, I actually reviewed it. Remember we talked about
that's right. You did review this a long time ago. And yes. I find myself very quickly getting destroyed because obstacles come up too fast.
See, I told you that game is impossible to win. I have still yet to actually win that game.
Okay. I had forgotten that you said that, and I will pretty much agree with you on that. The first time I went through it, I lost at the end of turn 2.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Turn 2, I mean, that says that the balance is a little bit off. If you could go around all this setting it up, and then at the end of turn 2, sorry, you lost. Too bad. I mean, at least give them some hope of winning before you go and pull the rug under them. And my second game, though, did go a bit longer. I think I got to 5 or 6 turns before the inevitable happened. But it's like, how in the world do you keep up with all of these things that are happening? Dude, I also get the impression that this is a game where alpha gamer syndrome could very easily happen if you're playing with multiple players.
Yes, it is, and I think I talked about that in my review that I did.
Hey, you talked about that. Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
Now I understand what you what you're meaning by that. Because
if you're not familiar with the game, how it works is everybody plays at once. You are a team, you're working together, there's no turns. Everybody just plays at once, everybody decides what to do, and therefore you can definitely have an alpha player at the table that would take over. And I think you really have to be very selective with the people that you play with to stop that from happening.
Yeah, so I pretty much agree with your review then, since I had forgotten to reread your review, and I came up with the same 2 points.
Yeah, that's funny. That really is kind of funny.
We currently have 23 supporters on Patreon, and if you would like to help support DDO players, you could simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest with us for an episode of DDO Players News. And by supporting us on Patreon, you will help us to defer our costs for the host of the podcast and the website each month. And we do not have any emails this week, but if you'd like to contact us, you could send an email to podcast@ddoplayers.com. You can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, DDO Players @DDO Players, Draculetta @Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf @PineleafNeedles. The Players Alliance has 4 live shows. Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. Every Thursday at 9 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Players News. And on the last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Academy After School. And you can join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight, and this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to quest responsibly.